Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, continues now. This is the broadcast for April the 30th in the year of our Lord 2025. This is hour 2 of 2, and the goal always to protect life, liberty, and property, to promote God, family, and country. To do so on your radio using the supreme law of the land, the Constitution for the United States of America, the supreme law of the land. The checks and balances are brilliant and available to us now. Let's get to work, ladies and gentlemen. What do you say? All right, thanks, James Edwards, for joining me last hour. ThePoliticalCesspool.org, doing a great job. You know, him and I slightly disagree on things, and I don't mean to bring this up so he doesn't have the last word. I think he's a great guy. He's believing that, hey, a lot of monarchs do a great job. And I understand if you get a good, honest, wise person, hey, it may not be bad. The problem with kings is that a bad king ends up getting in place, and then it's like a block and tackle trying to get rid of him, right? So kings aren't a wise choice. Checks and balances, many people involved, jealously guarding their liberties, and that's my view of the best way forward. And I get that there have been kings in the past that have been decent people, and I agree with James that King George isn't even as bad as some of the things we're seeing today. I agree with all that. Nevertheless, I reject kings. The only king I will accept is King Jesus when he returns. That's why we follow the Prince of Peace. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Sam Bushman. Okay, I want to talk about this guy. His name is Judge Royce Lamberth. Quote, White House must give Radio Free Europe its $12 million. The money has been appropriated by Congress, he says. Newser.com with the piece. A federal judge on Tuesday ordered the Trump administration to restore $12 million that Congress appropriated for Radio Free Europe. A pro-democracy, which I don't see why would be pro-democracy. We don't have a democracy in America. We have a republic. Nevertheless, a pro-democracy media outreach that they say has a risk of going dark for the first time in 75 years. Well, that doesn't impress me. I don't care if it's going to go dark within the next 75 years or after 75 years. Because I don't think we should have this Radio Free Europe in the first place, folks. Okay? So there you go. I mean, think about a judge like that ordering the president, you cannot spend this money. Now, this Lamberth judge, sad to say, was a Ronald Reagan appointee. Granted the temporary restraining order against against Trump and team. And I guess it's very interesting because they say for the U.S. Agency for Global Media, you've got to disperse the money, he says, for Radio Free Europe. It's also Radio Liberty. And so pending the outcome of this lawsuit, we'll have to see what's going to happen. But right now, a temporary restraining order against Trump saying, hey, you can't withhold the money. You got to give the $12 million. Now, let me just bring to you the reality. It's sad that Trump and this judge are going head to head. I support Donald Trump that we shouldn't be spending $12 million. We don't have the money on Radio Free Europe and on propaganda peddling around the world. Okay? This judge says, listen, that the administration could not unilaterally revoke funding approved by Congress. Now, the problem that I have with this, whole thing is this. Where's Congress? Okay? Where's Congress? These thugs are clowns. Okay? Where is Congress? Congress could write a one-page bill that says this: we grant Trump authority to deny funding that was approved by a previous Congress. Period. We, Congress, give President Donald Trump authority to pull back, to withhold, to whatever you want to say, stop the spending of a previous congressional mandate. And all they'd have to say is we give President the authority to do that. And the judge would be absolutely 100% sidelined. Because Trump can't unilaterally do that. But if it was funding approved by Congress, the next Congress can say we're not bound by the previous Congress, and we are going to give the president the ability to not spend that money. Attorneys for the media outlet say that Trump's administration has terminated all these contracts, missed payments with freelance journalists, missed payments on leases, and they warn that employees are furloughed and more will be furloughed if they don't get this thing restored immediately. Now, they say by the end of May, this group will be forced to cancel the contract supporting its da-da-da-da-da-da. But I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, to me, this is an issue of Congress is derelict in its duty. All right? There's a battle going on right now. Donald Trump says we shouldn't be funding Radio Free Europe and peddling propaganda. And so I'm going to withhold the $12 million and we're not going to spend it. Yes, it's going to result in the shutdown of this group. Great. The judge says, no, you're going to keep it funded because Congress approved it. Donald, you don't have authority. Congress does. Then all we got to do, where on earth is Mike Johnson? This one-line bill, we provide authorization for Donald Trump to not spend this money. We revoke the approval of the spending of this money. Boom. Now you could say, well, Sam, it won't pass. What if you took this to the American people? The president says, I'm ready to do this. I tried to do this. The judge stopped me. We need Congress to get involved here. Congress cannot be bound by previous congressional sessions. I know that the former Congress said to spend the money, but we're going to put a halt to that con game right now. We're not going to spend that money. See, in my humble opinion, that's what Congress needs to do, but they're derelict in their duty. They're just missing in action. I don't even know what Congress is doing. I mean, look, here's the number, 208-216-6100. You can call me, 208-216-6100. And here's my question. Do you know anything that Congress has been doing? Or, what is Congress doing? When do they start work today? Right? When are they actually working? And the sad part is we don't even know. Okay? We don't even know. It's a tragic situation. And now they say Elon Musk is going to be winding down his involvement in Doge. That's great. He's uncovered a lot of reality. He's brought a lot to the table. But unless Congress takes action, Trump might try to stop spending here and there and everywhere. Right? But the problem is they say all the judges are saying President Trump doesn't have authority. Now, I think that they need to go to court and have lawsuits about it. That's fine. But, a judge that says you don't have authority, is the judge making the law or interpreting the law? If he's making the law, he needs to be impeached. If he's activism from the bench manipulating the law, he needs to be impeached. If, on the other hand, if he's right about the law, then we, the people in Congress, need to support the president, don't we? Because if we do, we can change the law. Right now, that money's been approved. Trump can't stop it. Fine. Congress can come back and say, listen, we agree with the president. This money is ill spent by a former congressional session. We're going to provide authorization for President Trump not to spend that money. You could say it that way. Or another way you could say it is we revoke former congressional spending on this issue. So President Trump may not be able to revoke funding, right? You can't unilaterally revoke funding. Okay, but Congress can, right? So where's Congress? And so the reason I'm spending so much time on this, I'm convinced that people need to understand. You look at the first 100 days, the next 100 days, whatever you want to look at regarding President Trump or the administration or whatever, this term in Congress, and you got to analyze and say, what's the problem? Right now, the problem is Mike Johnson and the clowns in Congress are not backing Trump. So most of the things that we want to see happen and that he ran on accomplishing is getting shut down by Congress. Let's hold them accountable, people, shall we? Hang tight. More in seconds. Table Live.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
Do you treasure your liberty? Well, at lovingliberty.net, we most certainly do. And we want to help protect your liberty too. Become part of the family. Everyone knows that the core of any society is the family. Therefore, the government should foster and protect the integrity of its family, we the people. Won't you join us as a Loving Liberty sponsor to help us promote the principles in the 5,000-year leap? Let's restore the miracle that changed the world at lovingliberty.net.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much going on, so little time to focus on it all, I'll tell you what. But I want to focus on two videos that I did. Are you aware that Liberty Roundtable Live, 2-hour nationally syndicated Monday through Saturday talk show? We now do short videos. They're between 2 and 4 minutes long. And they're really, really educational. My videographer's top notch, just tremendous guy. Not only a nice, fun guy to be with, but he just does a killer job. He's got an eye for this stuff, man. Maybe I got a gift of gab. This guy's got an eye for this. Just great stuff. Anyway, so I put together these short videos, and the reason I'm spending time on it right now is we just cut the 100th video. Speaking of Donald Trump's 100 days, Sam cuts 100 videos. How do you like that? Anyway, I thought I'd play a couple of these videos, and you can go to libertyroundtable.com or lovingliberty.net and watch these videos. If you click on the video link, you'll see only the videos. If you'll just look at it in line, you'll see the radio shows and the videos all mixed together. It's tremendous stuff. You may be asking, who the heck is Jared Birchall? Well, we'll talk about this. Let me play the video, and then I'll break it down for you. Here it is. You may ask the question, who the heck is Jared Birchall? I'm Sam Bushman with another Liberty Roundtable Live short video brought to you by lovingliberty.net. Check out Incredible Talk Radio at lovingliberty.net. So you ask, who is Jared Birchall? Meet Elon Musk's fixer and right-hand man. Believe it or not, a fixer is somebody who usually does their very best to minimize the mistakes you make, to promote all the good things that you do. Usually politicians and attorneys and professionals and celebrities use fixers because, you know what, they live such debauched lifestyles the only way they can survive in the public eye is to bury all their bad and promote all their good and have attorneys and monies and, well, fixers. So Jared Birchall happens to be the fixer for Elon Musk, right? Well, anyway, Elon Musk has a problem. He's got children all over the place with all kinds of women. The latest is Ashley Sinclair. Yeah, she's a conservative children's book author, of all people. And she announced in February that she gave birth to Elon Musk's child 5 months prior. Well, turns out they tried to pay her off and keep her quiet. Similar agreements have been linked with other mothers of Elon Musk's children. St. Clair said she kept Musk's name off of the child's birth certificate at Birchall's request, but refused to sign the agreement they put forth for her. Well, she and Musk are now battling it out in court. She also wanted a paternity test, which the court indeed ordered. As for the paternity test, the chance Musk is the father, you ask? 99.999%. Oh, boy. Elon Musk is starting to sound a lot like Hunter Biden. Sad but true. So, folks, in a clarion call for civility, we need to highlight when people are doing great and then tell you when they're not doing so hot. Elon Musk, it's time to take responsibility for your children, my friend. You've got plenty of money. It shouldn't be a money game. You've got plenty of time. You can spend your time with your children. Folks, remember that children are entitled to a mother and a father. That's God-ordained way. And God's ordained way is the traditional family. That is the fundamental unit of society. And I submit to you that our society will only be as strong as our families are. When we have leaders like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and so on, should we set a standard for their lifestyles? They want to say it's private, it's not public, it's none of your business. And my response is we need to vote for good, honest, and wise leaders. Elon Musk has never even been voted for, has he? So we need to be very careful. If you can't trust him with the women he's involved with in a sexual way, or you can't trust if he'll even be responsible for the children that he brings in the world, can you trust him to be responsible for things of national import? I think not. I'm Sam Bushman. That's another Liberty Roundtable live short video. God save our republic. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's video one, which, I wanted to highlight because, I like Elon Musk. I think he does a lot of good. I think the guy's a brilliant mind. I think he brings a lot of new incredible technologies to the table. Whether you like or dislike EV vehicles, the fact is they're incredible. They're a scientific marvel. His whatever it is, Link. What's that thing called, Liz? His Elon Musk's internet thing. What's it called? Starlink. Anyway, Starlink. Okay, it's brilliant. I mean, it's incredible. It's bringing in. It's really breaking the digital divide. It's awesome. Okay, a lot of his work is really tremendous. But you know what? On a personal level, this guy, you just cannot be getting involved with all kinds of women, getting them pregnant, hiring a fixer to go ahead and change the game to make sure that, hey, we give you what we want to give you, and if you try to take more, if you try to go to court, we're going to clean your clock and destroy you and everything else. And, making this woman go to court and then making this woman, demand a DNA test before the courts, and then the courts to agree and then get the DNA test and find out she's right. It's his baby. And, okay, why are we doing all this kind of stuff? Why are we doing all this kind of stuff? Because these people can't control their impulses or their whatever? I mean, I'm sure all these women want to sleep with Elon Musk because they want to have famous babies that are, if you're gonna do a artificial insemination kind of an idea, you go back and say, all right, let's find the most handsome, the smartest, let's see a health report to make sure they're not passing on comorbidities or DNA problems, and let's see if we can't get the perfect stud to provide the artificial insemination. Okay. Many look at Elon Musk as that. I understand that, and I think it's wrong for these women. How many of them are gold diggers? How many of them are whatever? I get it. But at the end of the day, I hold Elon Musk responsible, though. You don't need to have fixers fix all your behind-the-scenes scandals. But that's what he's got in this Jared guy. Jared Birchall. The saddest part about all this is Jared Birchall is a practicing member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a Mormon. And I'm going, wow, that sure doesn't square with your your personal doctrinal beliefs if you're true to the faith. Kind of, wow. So that's interesting. But I bring this up because, again, I always try to tell you the truth about these people. When somebody does good, I try to promote the good they do. When they do wrong or do bad, I try to basically explain, hey, this is the wrong. This is why it's wrong. Okay? And if we can't trust this guy because of the moral discretions, I might say, or immorality of his decisions, can we trust him at the helm of the government? Can we trust him to run Doge? See, some would say, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I would say that it is. It's a huge deal. And because we have allowed immoral people to be our leaders, we're getting the trouble that we've got. Now, I'm not here to tramp down Elon Musk, but I am here to clearly say we need to be very careful with this. Shame on Elon Musk for that. Now, I'm not defending this girl. I don't even know about this girl. She's supposed to be, or this lady, she's supposed to be an author that writes children's books and everything. But what is that like? You know, she's the author of a children's book. She's supposed to be this leader, and you find out she's just betting Elon Musk and having his baby, and there's no real commitment or love, and now they're fighting over, what, money? Are they fighting over Elon Musk's telling her to shut up and wanting to pay her off? See, that's where I think this started. They told her to shut up. This fixer came in, wanted to pay her off. She said, fine. So this fixer, Jared, conned this lady to not put Elon Musk's name on the birth certificate. So she didn't. Then they said, well, you're going to have to do this, this, and this, and this to keep the money. Sign all these documents. She said, I'm not signing that. They said, yeah, you will. She said, I'm going to go to court then. They said, it doesn't go well when you go to court. It's just worse for you. Well, that's a veiled threat, really. So she goes to court, forces the DNA test. Now where are we? Why are we dealing with this kind of garbage from our leaders that's worse than a soap opera? Right? At least soap operas aren't real. But they say truth is stranger than fiction, so what do you expect, right? Anyway, I find that very fascinating, and I find it very sad. All right. Anyway, the videos are available at lovingliberty.net. They're available at libertyroundtable.com. And we've got 100 short-form videos now. I think they're pretty good. Another one that I want to play here after the break, it's called Podcasting. From amateur hobby to billion-dollar powerhouse. And it's another Liberty Roundtable Live short. The podcasting industry is taking the world by storm. It is something to behold, folks, when you really look at it. I mean, when podcasting started out years ago, I was involved in it because I'd do the live radio show after I'd put up the recordings. And then as podcast technology came along, I added the ability for all these programs to get the podcasts and et cetera. So we've been doing podcasts at Liberty Roundtable for a long time, since the inception, really. Well, anyway, I bring this up because everybody thought that it was like, oh, that's not real radio. Oh, that's not real video or TV. That's, you know, I mean, you got to be a professional. It's not real. So it was a hobby, and they kind of looked down on the podcasters and felt like, oh, no. And then what happened is all the mainstream press, big news networks started letting go of people like Bill O'Reilly and Tucker Carlson and Glenn Beck and Megan, what's-her-face, Kelly, and all these people, okay? And then they started their own podcasts, and now podcasts, they're the future, baby. Details in seconds on your radio.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Wall Street stocks hit the skids as the Commerce Department reports the U.S. economy shrank in the first quarter. The gross domestic product contracted 0.3% January through March, the first such decline in 3 years. And President Trump says the U.S. economy is still struggling to overcome the negative impact of Biden economic policies. And Mr. Trump says we haven't seen anything yet. He's marking the first 100 days of his second term, held a campaign-style rally last evening in Warren, Michigan.
The president declared the start of his second term has been consequential.
In 100 days, we have delivered the most profound change in Washington in nearly 100 years.
He focused a great deal on immigration and border security.
We have achieved the most secure border in American history.
The president also touted his economic policies, even though polls show Americans are worried that the Trump tariffs will lead to higher prices. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee says some industries may need temporary relief during the Trump tariff transition.
Senator Blackburn says she supports the president's strategy.
President Trump is using tariffs to get people to the negotiating table.
In the short run, however, Blackburn says the battle poses a threat to vital supply chains for industries in her state.
Several areas that are going to need some type temporary relief.
Blackburn says the goal of the president's tariffs is to reinvigorate U.S. manufacturing, bolster the economy, create higher-paying jobs, and eventually lower the cost of living. Bob Agnew reporting.
Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan has been suspended by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, facing federal charges. She's accused of helping a man evade immigration authorities. And on Wall Street, the Dow is down 365 points. NASDAQ is off 286. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
They told us nothing but lies.
These timeshare thieves out there are terrible.
They bullied us.
Our timeshare is all a scam.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
I was completely taken advantage of.
Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder and CEO of Wesley Financial Group, and I know the tough spot you're in. Are you asking yourself, why did I buy that timeshare? I'll tell you why, because that presentation wasn't a normal sales pitch. It was a show to convince you that timeshare is a great investment. They told you it was available today and today only. They said you're foolish if you don't buy, and unfortunately, you believed them. We get over 3,000 complaints a week from folks just like you that were misled into buying a timeshare. Give us a call. I guarantee you, if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-989-1771. 800-989-1771. 800-989-1771.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began, Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com. Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. We've got so much to cover, so little time to get it done. Let's go, shall we? All right. We talked about the Who is Jared Birchall. The guy's a fixer for Elon Musk for all of his moral indiscretions. It's a disgrace. Check out my video on that at lovingliberty.net. The second video that I've got, why am I highlighting some of my videos? Because I've done 100 videos now. We cracked 100 in just a few months. Just great stuff. A big shout out to my video editor, my video producer. Guy's just brilliant. All right, the other one is podcasting from amateur hobby to $1 million or $1 billion powerhouse. Amen to that. Anyway, listen to this video and you'll see they used to mock podcasters as kind of not real. They're just kind of like the bloggers. They're just not real news people. Oh boy, the days of that are gone. Here's the truth. They considered it something just for amateurs. Now have they changed their mind? Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. I'm Sam Bushman with another Liberty Roundtable live short video brought to you by freedomsrisingsun.com for the collegiate series on the Constitution called To Preserve the Nation. Check out freedomsrisingsun.com. For Q&As on the Constitution and more every week, freedomsrisingsun.com. Okay, according to podnews.net, the podcast industry is absolutely taking the world by storm. You might call it the killer app or it's taking center stage. Either way, podcast ad revenue smashes through $2 billion annually. Yeah, $2.4 billion annually in the United States alone. This amount is driven by continued expansion of podcast networks, brand integrations, and a whole lot more. Advancements in all kinds of audio and video, decreased costs in getting up and running, incredible systems that make it super easy to make happen. Americans are talking, speaking, audio, video like never before. Women are coming to the table. People with unique interests are coming to the table to the point where it's now a $2.4 billion and growing at an incredible rate industry. Are you going to be part of it? I've been part of it for 3 decades now, ladies and gentlemen, and it gets better every year. Now, the interesting thing about this is people are learning so much. The question is, are they learning the right information? Remember, all knowledge is not equal. The knowledge that God lives isn't the same as there's a prize in the Cracker Jack box now, is there? I'm just saying. So remember, podcasting used to be just for the amateur. Now they're second guessing themselves because even the professionals are leaving the mainstream networks and doing their own podcasts. The new media is indeed taking center stage. And I'm Sam Bushman. That's another Liberty Roundtable live short video. God save our republic. So there you have it. The videos are short. They're anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes long. A couple of them might be slightly over 4 minutes, but for the most part, they're very short indeed. I try to make them around 3 minutes in general. But man, podcasting is rocking and rolling, baby, and it's only going to be more and more and more in the future in America and around the world. All right, Bill Gates has lost his mind. He's turned into a mad scientist that wants to play God. I did a video on this as well. Here it is. Bill Gates has turned into a mad scientist who wants to play God. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. I'm Sam Bushman with another Liberty Roundtable live short video brought to you by PrepStartsNow.com. Think of Prep Starts Now when it comes to your preparedness gear, water filtration, food, medical supplies, herbs, and more. Think PrepStartsNow.com. You've got a friend in the prepper business. Bill Gates, sadly, has turned into a mad scientist who wants to play God. He has no business, ladies and gentlemen, unleashing his experiments on the world. Your next mosquito bite, believe it or not, could be a vaccination. Genetically modified mosquitoes have already been released in the United States. Their bites will inject people with the equivalent of a malaria vaccine. We have no clue how these mosquitoes might mutate. We have no clue how the vaccine might degrade and how humans will react in the short or the long term to this grand experiment. There is no way to pull mosquitoes off the market like you can a medication or something, or a vaccine off the shelf. With this vaccine, there is zero informed consent. No paperwork, no religious or medical exemptions, no opt-out or accommodation for anyone. In fact, you will not even know you're getting the vaccine until it's too late. And I'm talking about dozens of vaccines. Bill Gates gave $1.3 million to a company called Oxidic. And Oxidic is going to perform a mosquito trial. Then within months, they released thousands of genetically modified mosquitoes in the Florida Keys. But they promised they didn't use Bill Gates' money to do so. Then Gates gave another $18 million to Oxidic, again to promote mosquito vaccine experiments. This vaccine delivery system is precisely designed to disregard our freedom of choice, our opinions, our views, and most importantly, our consent. Now is the time for Congress to investigate and stop this disruption by Gates and others. Where are all the women who say, it's my body, it's my choice? When it comes to forced mosquito bite vaccinations, are they saying the same thing? To me, it doesn't matter if you're for or against vaccinations. The point is, do you believe in agency, the ability for each person to choose for themselves? I, for one, certainly do. And I'm Sam Bushman. That's another Liberty Roundtable Live short video. God save our republic. All right, so I end every video with God save our republic because I want people to really understand where I stand. I believe that we need to turn to God. The biggest problem in America and the biggest solution in America are one and the same. Problem: we've turned away from God. We're not a godly people. We don't believe the Ten Commandments should be at the center of our lives. We don't really believe that people should be moral, that they should stand on the moral high road, that they should have a moral compass and keep God's commandments. Okay, that's the problem. They think that their way is a better way than God's way. It'll never work. The solution, though, is the same as the problem. It's just the other side of the coin, which is, you know what? Let's start to obey God's commandments. Let's start to turn to him and become a humble people. God will have a humble people. It's either we be humble ourselves or he'll humble us. And we're starting to see he's humbling us, as far as I can tell. But I bring that up and just say, hey, why are we trying to play God? Gates is funding genetically modified mosquitoes to give people a vaccination, which means a forced vaccination. To me, this is a frightening, and I say frightening, scenario, right? I mean, what about your agency? No consent? We don't even know what it will do to you going forward? Is this the future of public health or a terrifying loss of agency? I'm calling it a terrifying loss of agency, right? Anyway, shame on whatever you want to say. Elon Musk, shame on Bill Gates. But this is what I mean. One guy's out there making babies with women he shouldn't even be involved with, and then fighting them over money and over, whether you're going to be quiet or not, hiring fixers to deal with all that. What would he do in government if something went wrong? Hire a fixer to lie to you and manipulate it to... Okay, that's the problem. And then Bill Gates, this guy's a whacked-out mad scientist. He's literally promoted abortions. He's literally now playing God and trying to basically have these genetically modified mosquitoes force every one of us to be vaccines without consent. Do you support that, people? I don't. I don't at all. Anyway, we're going to come back from the break. And when we do, I want to play this next video, and then I got a final story of the hour for you. President Trump signed an executive order about truckers and speaking English. I'll tell you about that. And then the 100th video, ladies and gentlemen, that I've done on libertyroundtable.com and lovingliberty.net. 100th short video is entitled, Are You an Always Trumper or a Never Trumper or a Trump Realist? That's the question. Are you an always Trumper, a never Trumper, or a Trump realist? We'll get to that after the break. But it's really important because my 100th video coincides with Donald Trump's 100 days, and everybody's discussing it. And I appreciate the discussions, and there's a lot that Trump's done that I really love. There's some things that I'm not fond of, but I'm really pointing the finger at Congress. They're the real problem. They're derelict in their duty. They're missing in action. They're, on one hand, acting like they're supporting Trump. Meanwhile, they're slow-walking all of Trump's issues. They need to codify Trump's executive orders, and they need to do it fast. Anyway, when we come back, we'll talk about it.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
All right. Back with you live. Trump's 100 days. Being celebrated, being ridiculed, being loved and mocked and loved and hated, whatever. Are you an always Trumper? Are you a never Trumper? Or are you a Trump realist? Here's my video. Are you an always Trumper? Are you a never Trumper? How about a Trump realist? Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. I'm Sam Bushman with another Liberty Roundtable live short video brought to you by callforcivility.com. We can be civil to one another. We can agree that people have the right to say things that we disagree with, and we can do so agreeably. Or can we? Donald Trump posts rant against his enemies on Easter. He said, "Happy Easter too," and then he named all these groups that he dislikes and has a problem with and everything else. And I think, President Trump, isn't there a time for civility? Isn't there a time for all things? It's one thing in a political rally to attack your enemies. I get it. Part of it's political theater. Part of it's making sure that you own the discussion. I get it. But when it comes to Easter, we need a clarion call for civility. Now, back in 2015, I realized how alarming this was, and I wrote an article called A Clarion Call for Civility, asking people to get together and set aside their differences and say, hey, we can disagree, but we can do so agreeably. We can be kind. Remember, civility may not breed unity, but it certainly is a better way to go than hostility or simply not being willing to discuss or work with one another in any way. I digress, except for after that article, I've been so concerned about this civility issue that I created a website. It's called callforcivility.com. Check it out. On that website, I quote the original article that I wrote literally a decade ago. and I then highlight solutions of what we can do about it. I've even put together a little document, a call for civility document saying, will you do your best to become civil with those around you? Check it out. See what you think. But Donald Trump, how do I say I don't think that's the right thing to do? Criticizing your enemies on Easter. How do I be civil and say, President Trump, I think there's a better way. I think you're better than that. I think we can raise the bar and follow the admonition of the Prince of Peace. We can be civil with one another, can't we? So we continue to issue this clarion call for civility at callforcivility.com. And I'm Sam Bushman. That's another Liberty Roundtable Live short video. God save our republic. So there's a few of the videos that I've done, and I just every so often I'm going to basically, play them because they're great radio commentaries too. I mean, they're good enough for just radio. You don't have to always see the video, but they're better with the videos. But if you go to libertyroundtable.com or lovingliberty.net and check them out, they're really, in my opinion, good. Not because I do them, but because my video editor is just so good. He makes them pop. He makes them real. He does a tremendous job. Anyway, Donald Trump's 100 days, Sam Bushman's 100 videos just coincide perfectly, right? And I'm not an always Trumper. I'm not a never Trumper. I'm a Trump realist to the best of my ability. My guides being the Christian beliefs, the two great commandments, love the Lord thy God and love thy neighbor. And then the 10 commandments that hangeth on the law. And then basically saying, hey, I use scripture when it comes to God. I use the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence when it comes to the political religion of our nation, if you will, or the country. When it comes to the family, I look towards things like the proclamation to the world on the family put out by the Church of Jesus Christ.org website. It is God, family, and country. And so I use very few, but some governing, guiding documents and principles. And when Trump does right, gonna praise him, gonna support him, gonna do it. When Trump does wrong, I'm trying to be as civil as I can, but I've got to tell you why I don't think it's a wise choice or why I think it's a wise move. Trump's done a lot of good. It's Congress that I believe is the problem. Call your member of Congress and say you've got to start codifying Trump's work, and you better do it now or you'll lose the opportunity, people. Okay? And they need to create laws that say, hey, we will not allow whacked out God-playing scientist Bill Gates to literally create mosquitoes that force us all to take the vaccine or the jab without agency. No choice. You're just, boom. Anyway, our prayers are that we can stop Bill from his clown-type antics. He's got a lot of money and a lot of sway. We've got to shut that down, folks. The human race and our health depends on it. This guy would like to snuff out most of us. If you read his words or hear his words and read his writings, and the guy's a nutcase. All right, I digress. The last story of the hour. Ready? And it's a Trump story, of course, because all stories are Trump stories, right? I'm just kidding. It just feels like that, but there you go. They're really stories that relate to all kinds of issues. It just happens to be that Trump finds great ways. He's brilliant at this, to put himself at the center of every story. So the story, in a way, isn't even about Trump, but it is because he's president of the United States, and it is because of his incredible action. And I support this action from President Trump. Here's what happened. Just so you know, it used to be to where truckers used to have to speak English. All right? Starting in 1937, federal regulation had required CMD operators, or that's, a commercial license, they had to be able to read and speak the English language sufficiently to converse with the general public, to understand highway traffic signs and signals in the English language, to respond to official inquiries, and to make entries on reports and records. Okay, that's what they had to do. That was started in 1937. Barack Obama whacked out and got rid of it. And then all kinds of problems started occurring with truckers on the highway, all kinds of accident increases and everything else. So in 1937, they had it right. And you say, well, why till 1937? Because you didn't have big semi-trucks on the road much before that to where it would be a law, and it wasn't a big problem. Anyway, so they said this has to happen since 1937. Barack Hussein Obama got rid of it. Well, here's the good news. Trump now brought it back. So President Trump signed an executive order reinstating the requirement that commercial truck drivers in the United States demonstrate proficiency in English, citing traffic and safety concerns and the need for clear communication on American roads. Amen to the president. Amen to the law put in place in 37. Now, the interesting thing is this is the problem, okay? They let Barack Obama just get rid of this law, just jettison it. They should have imprisoned Obama for that action, but they let it go, and now we have all kinds of dead people on the roads as a result of this. The order directs the Department of Transportation, DOT, if you will, to begin giving literacy testing for all truckers operating commercial motor vehicles, CMVs. And if they can't pass the test, they'll be taken out of service until they can. Okay? Trump says this, and basically the executive order highlights this reality. Truckers should be able to read and understand traffic signs, communicate with traffic safety, border patrol, agricultural checkpoints, and cargo weight limit stations. Okay? This is common sense. The order does not create, listen, new policy. This is an old one. And I've got a problem with this word policy here. Okay? Because when you say policy, you say Congress creates the general law, and then these agencies build in all these policies and kind of tweak the law and end up making the law. Well, they had a court case that shut that stuff down recently, right? Good. Policy. Is that law? No. Okay? So we need to really double down and find out from Congress what's the law here. And if Barack changed the law without authority from Congress, those are the makers of the law, remember? Not president. Then arrest Barack Obama now because he broke the law. Now, Trump putting it back, I commend him for his efforts. But again, if we play games with executive orders, every president will change their mind and it'll just go back and forth and back and forth. You've got to have Congress say, hey, wait a minute. Barack was wrong. We were going to impeach him for that. Barack was wrong. We're going to arrest him for breaking that law. There's got to be accountability. But here's what's right. We, Congress, say this policy is the law. And if they did that to back President Trump's executive order, in other words, if they codified it, put it in place by the correct branch of government for lawmaking or legislation, that's what needs to happen. Mike Johnson, listen to me. Get it done. Trump's done a right thing. He's brought back this 1937 law or policy that basically says you gotta deal in the English language fluently enough so that we don't have chaos and safety concerns on our roads. It backs the deportation effort. It backs the immigration issue properly. You don't belong here unless you can demonstrate appropriate proficiency to keep Americans safe. After all, the only purpose of government is to protect life, our liberty. That's our safety and our property, right? So remember that. Good on the Donald. I end by saying he's right as rain, and we better back him and demand Congress do the same. All right, thanks for being alongside for the ride. LovingLiberty.net, our nationally syndicated radio network. Check them out. Incredible talk radio around the clock. LibertyRoundtable.com, the website for the show. And we the people, along with the grace of the Almighty, can and will save America. Will you help us? God save the Republic.